Hello again. Welcome back to FPL Jedi Show Gameweek 27 Deadline stream. My name is Hafiz and would like to welcome Azmin to the stream. How are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. Hasn't been too long ago, so here we are
Yeah.
again. It's another night, so a stream. So, uh, I hope you've had enough time to do some thinking.
Yes. I think it's a quick turnaround, man. As we can see, game come thick and fast after that. 26. Now we are at Gameweek 27 midweek, and it's a Tuesday deadline at 2 a.m. Malaysian time. So really pushing to the boundaries that we need to forget what happened in 26 and focus to 27, right, man?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of ramifications of what happened. That we'll talk about briefly. But at the end of the day, we need to put it away. We can do a quick review, then put away, and then just focus on figure out how to adjust your team for tonight.
All right. Would like to welcome Azli to the scene. He already asked about question, which is who's
Okay.
to captain for game week 27. We will address that later. All right. I think the obvious
We
answer
will.
we can give, right? But you want some differential, then we can talk about that later. Quick review on our team. In game week 26. Yeah, I scored 40 points only, and you scored into the 100 club, 109 points, mean. So I think the big difference from both of our team, you Captain Salah, I tried my luck with Mbomo, but in the end, they match up in terms of points. Both scored 14 points and in total 28 points.
Yeah, that's I think because I did check in terms of those who also captain Isaac. Yeah, so not much difference, but at the same time, there were those who I've seen punting for Clivert and were to be disappointed. Although to be fair, we didn't expect Bournemouth to get a red card in the first half of the game. For the record, that red card was appealed but has been turned down. The appeal has been turned down yesterday, so Bournemouth will go into this week's match without Zabani, without one of the main centre backs. So other things, I
I think
guess,
another great thing about your team. So boss like coming good, man, in the end.
yeah. So that is the main thing, and I was trying to decide, whether or not I should field him, but then I figured that he seems to work really well with Salah, and despite him blanking for the previous two double game weeks that I had him for, and the whole point why I didn't end up with Slot as a manager because I wanted Zoboslai. Yeah, only for him to blank throughout the double game week. So I'm happy that I kept the faith and he returned with 1 goal and 1 assist, which is actually the same as Salah. It's just that Salah made off with the more bonus points than Soboslai, but you can't deny Soboslai's effort. I really appreciate as a Liverpool fan. I think he came good.
Maybe you can talk about your move last week. You took a -4 to bring in Mr. Pereira as your assistant manager, and
Okay.
boy oh boy, it's rewarded you with big fat 19 points.
Yes. So I was very, very positive about Wolves at that point, So I was really thinking if there was an upset result, it could be this Wolves versus Bournemouth. But in order to do that, the problem was I had already tripled up on Wolves. I had Sa, who had been my backup keeper for a while. So I was pondering that the only way I could bring in Pereira was to take a hit. So in the end, I finally, towards the deadline, the day itself, and a few hours before, I decided to take the plunge. I sold Sa as well as the manager, Emery, to bring in Pereira, and Sa, I took the hit, and I looked around and decided to go for Flecken, and luckily,
Oh, Great
was a
move,
great
mate. Great
move.
move. It's a positive move for both, right?
Yeah, so both came out good, and on the other flip side, Cells blanked. Cells had a bad day at the office, letting in 4 goals. So that's great. Although on hindsight, if I had kept Sa and played Sa and picked up Glasner as my manager,
Oh,
extra points, because Sa ended up with 9 points. Okay, so I did not expect that. To be fair, I did expect Wolves to concede. That's why I was reluctant to fill sub, but at the same time, I did play Ait Nuri, if you notice, because I thought there's attacking gains to be had as well. And he didn't get any attacking gains, and he was subbed off a bit early to preserve the lead, so he got the clean sheet. So I'm very happy for my Wolves. Wolves for backing Wolves for this week really came good, and it really helped to push me up the ranks as well.
really,
Yeah.
really. Great for you. Move up to 61K. Maybe talk a bit about João Pedro on your bench. He actually played,
Yeah, that one. The thing is, he was, to be honest, as you can see, he's not even my first bench. He's my second bench, which means that I had no confidence in him actually starting. So he in the FA Cup, he was benched against Chelsea. Then in the Premier League, he was benched against Chelsea, and both results they won. So Brighton won. So going on for that, Pedro didn't look like he was going to make it in. Only for apparently Welbeck to get injured, and as a result, Pedro came in. And after the match, Herzler talked quite positive about Pedro, about his attitude, and the way he talked about his attitude tells me that previously that was a problem. He developed this prima donna diva mentality about him being too good for the team or something. I don't know, but I think it was alluded to quite a few times in the internet before. So it's good to hear from the manager that he's buckled down and pushing to be able to come back into the team, and he did well. To be fair, it was against not Southampton. Sorry. Who's it against?
Brighton won against Southampton 4-0.
Was it South? Okay, yeah. So 4-0 against. It was against Southampton. So, it's then it becomes a question of it was Mbeumo is against Leicester, wasn't it? Yeah. So the question now is, can he replicate that form against not a promoted side? So that's the question that needs to be asked, and we'll answer it this week, tonight, as they play Bournemouth. But anyway, bottom line is, I'm not too upset because it wasn't like a 50-50 decision to play Pedro. So I can only take it as it comes. But the other bench ones I got right. So just Pedro turned out to be off. But when I look back at it, if I decided to field Pedro, who would I bench? Would I have benched Palmer? Just
I don't think so.
it was just unlikely. So yeah.
All right. That's about your team. Just quick on my team. Like you mentioned, Sales didn't score anything, 0 point for me. You can see I made 2 transfer and it did not pay dividend because I took out TA who kept a clean sheet and 6 point, and Kirkus coming in for 1 point, and then Clivert for Enzo Fernandez who scored against Villa, and I think he got like 6 or 7 points. So that 2 move really did not paid off for me, and instead of negative point, because the other players who actually I transfer out did score points. So, but it is what it is. It's going to be moving forward for this maneuvering about the blank game week 29, because both my player will play in 29. That's the most important thing. But other than that, I a bit cautious when talk about captaining Mbeumo. I have some feeling whether this could pay off or really ruining me more. And turn out he actually scored 14 points on Friday, and my rank jumped to 1.7 million. At that juncture, I feel, oh, okay, if let's say Salah didn't go big, so maybe I would get some gain in terms of rank. But in the end, after that, Man City versus Liverpool, Salah being Salah, and he got that 40 points match Mbomo. And in the end, actually I do not gain anything equals to Mbomo. I said Scott 13, we both have that. But then Chris Wood still ticking the point, even though Forest lose 4-3 because both playing each other, Newcastle and Forest, he did get that. So I think, regardless fixture, I think Chris Wood you need to play if you have him. Little bit touched because this week will be against the Arsenal team, but Arsenal did lost against West Ham at home, a short win. And can you imagine, assistant manager, the table bonus point, 3 managers like Glasner, like Pereira, and the other guy, Porter. I think I just want to give a shout out to FPL Jambatra because he actually bring in Porter as his assistant manager, and he really mentioned about how confidence in it when the decision looks like really brother, but he put it in his mouth in terms of his decision. He got that. I think Porter scored 19 points, same like Pereira. And can you imagine if I kept Slot 10 points, so I'll take that. But can you imagine if I transfer him out for Arteta, who actually scored 0 points? So that can be damaging, and some manager has suffered that. And it is what it is. I think for yourself, in terms of assistant manager, you will say it has been good for you, but certain manager will feel that they said this is not for them and should scrap that chip for next year. If let's say, especially you're keeping Slot, because in the end, the 3 weeks are different. Like you're going from Moyes to Emery, say you go for Pereira or Glasner, you gain actually more 18 points more than keeping Slot for the 3 weeks consecutively, if I'm right when calculating the difference. So that's really, but that requires 2 transfer, but keeping Slot will not require a transfer. So you can see that in the 2, how you're going to look at. But the point chasing matters. If you go Azmin road, you gain more points than mine, who actually only having Slot. Min, what? Just to recap on that way, how me?
Yeah, I think one thing is that because I had saved up transfers to in case I needed to do this managerial change, and looks like I changed managers every 2 weeks. It was too gatal tagan. I had to change it both times. But unfortunately, the second time change came with a hit, but fortunately it turned out well. I guess now we need to see, because we've seen both ends of the spectrum. I have a friend who from Slot went to Arteta, so even worse. Yeah, so now, because this is the first week where the first 3 weeks where the AM chip was activated, so it'll be interesting to see how the AM chip is used by those who haven't used it. But one thing's for sure is that the people who haven't used it will be looking a bit more closely at the possibilities of getting the table bonus, because that table bonus looks like it can be a huge swing in terms of points if you get it right. But as we've seen, the risk is there. Other options, McKenna and
Van Nistelrooy.
Van Nistelrooy. And the thing is, both these teams were playing at home. So and I tweeted or talked about it in one of our streams that if I wanted to someone with to get a table bonus advantage, I would most likely have someone at home. Yeah. But then and McKenna was in my consideration for a while. But in the end, the pull of Wolves, bias maybe in terms of going for Wolves, because I had a big thing for Cunha. So in the end, I went for Wolves, and it turned out to be a big away weekend for away teams. I think it was 7 away wins or something like that. And only 2 home wins. Villa, and I can't remember who the other team was, but yeah, Villa was one of the home teams that won. But
Yeah.
still, it was a bit of a swing there. I don't think we normally see so many away wins in 1 week.
Yeah, agree. So I think we already summarized in terms of our team. We are looking forward, but I just want to give the shout out because there are some manager who go against Salah. So I just want to mention for like late riser from FPL Wire, he actually captain Visa but only got 8 points. It was and FPL front did go captaining Trossard to get me, but Trossard blank and only got 2 points. But his week still decent, man. He scored like 82 points minus 4 points. So it's not that bad because there's some managers who have the likes of Munoz, right? Playing João Pedro,
Yes.
have Bruno Fernandes. Who else? You can't imagine those players scoring. They did score this week. And
Yeah.
yes.
And the thing with those managers who had Munoz, they would have had Munoz for a while because
Yeah.
from the double game week onwards, where Munoz wasn't a consideration, and now after the double game week, we do know that Crystal Palace blank in game week 29, so they're not likely to. People aren't likely to bring Munoz in unless they free
Oh,
hitting in game week.
you'll be surprised later, taking a look at the top transfer this week.
Yeah, but again, when it comes to when a lot of points happen in 1 week, then you can see some reaction there lah. It will always happen, I suppose. But yeah, and just putting in the marker, yes, for our consideration later, game week 29 is a blank, and so if you are not free hitting, then you need to decide what you want to do. You want to dead end and then wild card in game week 30, that's an option, or you just figure you have enough in your squad to navigate without even using a chip into game week 29. That's something else to look at as well.
All right. I would like to welcome our Rich Apple to the stream. Hi, guys. I also have question in terms of cheap defenders for to whom you should get. So, game week 27 fixture, just some exciting matches, and can I see it's a premium match because there are some interesting match in the form of Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal this week at home. We have Spurs versus Man City, and also Liverpool, Newcastle on can I say Wednesday night Malaysian time because tomorrow. Tonight, what matches we play is Brighton versus Bournemouth, Crystal Palace versus Villa. We have Wolves versus Fulham and Chelsea, who are not really on form right now, facing a promoted side. So Chelsea versus Southampton. And then tomorrow night, Brentford versus Everton. Everton squandered their 2-goal lead against Manchester United, and Brentford has a recent win against Leicester. Fournier definitely on a high moral. United versus Ipswich, another promoted side. Can United win against it? We know the reverse fixture is a tough one for Amorim side, but they're getting better. We already touched about Forest, Spurs, and Liverpool, and we end this week with another potential money ball game. Maybe after that win against Arsenal, people are looking at West Ham asset. So West Ham versus a trouble team in the form of Leicester. They are losing already 10 games in 11. So that's pretty worrying in terms of Leicester side. So fixture wise, 27, which attracts you?
Okay, so firstly, Chelsea versus Southampton. Chelsea apparently have only 2 wins in the last 10. I think it's 2 wins, 3 draws, and 5 losses, which is really poor. Having said that, so this is an opportunity because Chelsea will play back-to-back first Southampton and then the following week, although to be fair, there's a larger gap, but after that they play Leicester. So it's a chance for Chelsea to regain some confidence. And honestly, Southampton and Leicester are looking really poor. So it's definitely a chance for them to regain. So since I mentioned Leicester, you got West Ham against Leicester in the last match. Obviously, it will most likely Bowen and possibly Kudus who are having probably some transfers or people bringing in this week to capitalize against that Leicester. West Ham obviously euphoric on a high after defeating Arsenal 1-0. So they'll look to continue that form into Leicester. But there's also on Wednesday night, there's a few big matches as well. You got Forest versus Arsenal. Who would have thought that is now a big match? Yeah. So Forest, we know that they lost to Newcastle 4-3, so they're reeling a bit, and they're up against Arsenal, who also lost. So both teams coming into this match as a loss should be fun. Might not be great from a FPL perspective, but we'll see. Then you have a resurgent Spurs, who trashed Ipswich last week, or during the weekend, against Manchester City, who just lost against Liverpool 2-0. So Spurs will look at that Liverpool-Manchester City match looking, I can do something there. And with Spurs, apparently quite a few players return, so you got, now except for Manchester, you got Vicario back, Johnson back, who would have thought that, and then Johnson last week recorded the highest FPL score of the season with his return. So, the morale is there for Spurs, and they're looking to, add more points to a very troublesome season now that players are coming back from injury. And of course, Liverpool versus Newcastle. That with Chelsea versus Southampton becomes the dilemma because of choosing the captaincy. We know Salah is in red hot form, but at the same time, and Chelsea is in bad form, but then Chelsea plays Southampton, who are really poor, and there's opportunity for Chelsea to not just win against Southampton, but try to trash Southampton so as to give a bit motivation and a good feeling for them, moving forward. So yeah, quite a few interesting matches. Not that I'll be watching most of it. I will wake up in the morning and check out the results.
All right, let's go to the team news, because we have some team news in terms of it. Maybe there are some significant news when you're making transfer for this Gameweek 27. Let's go first with Brighton versus Bournemouth. I think there's some key players will miss this game, especially from Bournemouth side, which you did mention about Zabani will begin his 3-match ban. So what's the latest news?
So first, Brighton. So Young is still out, and Welbeck and Veltman remain doubtful. And then checking out the press conference, he's out lah. He's definitely not going to be back. And it's interesting. So we know that previously the criticism of Joao Pedro is that he can't play up top. He needs a second person, and in this case, he didn't have a second person. He was the main striker, and he still did well. So which is great for those of us who still hold throughout his useless period. So, and in my case, I didn't field him, but others did, for lack of better options, and he did well. So credit to them. For Bournemouth, so the red card has now been the red card appeal has now been overturned. So he's not going to be he's not going to be playing. So that's not great for Bournemouth, because he's been quite important for Bournemouth. So the problem with Bournemouth right now is that for this match is that they would have been exhausted by the Wolves match, because Zabani went off in the 30th minute. So most of the team had to play in 60 minutes, which is exhausting, playing with 10 men. And if you watch the match, Wolves were really stretching and pushing, even though the scoreline was only 1-0. But it was really hard. Bournemouth were focused on defending and could hardly get a break, and a chance to attempt to equalize the chances were very few. In terms of injury side, so Evan Nielsen, surprisingly, after being predicted to come back probably in April, suddenly turned up in the bench. However, in the press conference, Irola did mention that he isn't really fit because he hasn't really trained. So he mentioned how he needs to have undergone enough training to be able to be considered for playing, and because he didn't even come in, so on the bench, although because they went down to 10 men, but basically it implies that the only reason he's on the bench is just to fill the spot, because if he hasn't even trained, then he's not Jamie Vardy, you can just turn up. So this is a very interesting match. I think it's frustrating for us who have Bournemouth. Many of us went for one Bournemouth midfielder or another in hopes that they will do well, and that hasn't been a good case. I think in the past 3 weeks, only Dango has returned. Yeah, so now they play Brighton, which should be a match we can score goals, but then they are exhausted because of the weekend match. So I think I can see Brighton still winning this one. The on the plus side is that um who's that guy? Who's the Clivert was taken off fairly early, so you would expect him to start this one. So those of us who have Clivert, like myself, will be very relieved in that sense because he would have had a bit more rest and they will probably rely on him a bit more. But I think Brighton will win this one.
All right. I think there's a worry, like you mentioned, about Evanescence coming into the bench. Dango, maybe if let's say you already have him, you worried, but I'm not sure whether this match that Evanescence might take some minutes. We shall see. I think that's still wait and see. For Brighton, Danny Welbeck will be doubtful. Would you feel that Joe Pedro could start this game against Bournemouth? So what do you think, man?
Yep, he'll start, not an issue. He's proven himself, and we know that he's generally a fit person. Yeah, so I think he'll start. Even though he played 90 minutes, he should still start because the form is there.
All right, great. So the Brighton versus Bournemouth. Let's go to the next match, which is Palace versus Villa. As we all know, both teams actually did manage to win their last game. Palace against Fulham, and then Villa last minute goal against Chelsea. Asensio and Marcus Rashford really on fire right now. So what's the latest news for both teams?
So Crystal Palace, there's really no new injuries, which is great considering they won 2-0 against Fulham. Wharton could be fit enough, but I'm not sure Glasner will want to disrupt a winning team. Yeah, so he might stay with the status quo. So Villa, the biggest concern now is with Morgan Rogers. So Morgan Rogers is, in many teams, including mine. So it's a case of looking off, and both players were substituted off, and Morgan Rogers was kicked by Nkunku around the 70 plus minute, and he was really hobbling. Okay, maybe it's a bit later than that. Yeah, but he was really hobbling and asked to come off. So I don't think Rogers will play this game. Big call on my side, but I don't think so. I feel Villa have other matches to worry about, and plus the fact that Rashford came off the bench and he did well. So you could arguably see a team with Rashford in it, as well as maybe Ramsey to do the ball carrying and a bit of the dirty work. Because as for Aston Villa, last week Rashford and Asensio combined to score both goals, which is great. So you expect both to start, and this is a tough match to call. I think Aston Villa will be very happy with how their January acquisitions have performed, and they should start this one again. I definitely see Rogers either benched or not even being in the squad. And on a long term, I just want to mention that with Rogers and Asensio doing well, my concern with Rogers that they will not give him too much responsibility in terms of joining this goal scoring. So it'll be more in terms of the harder stuff, the dirty stuff, as well as ball carrying duties. Yeah, so it does reduce his potential. Although to be fair, it's not like he's that expensive anyway. Yeah, but if you were looking to bring, well, we wouldn't want to bring him now because of blank Gameweek 29. But even if you're free hitting at the moment, I'd still wait and see. Yeah, he's definitely not going to play this week, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Why you want to risk? Because there's plenty of matches coming up with the Champions League also around the corner. They do play in the FA Cup this weekend, so that could be also another match that they need to prioritize because they're playing at home against Cardiff, and nothing to take lightly. And they have a good replacement in the form like you mentioned. Rashford, Essential can come in for those players. So if I'm being Emery, you just use your squad and play this game against Palace. So if let's say you have someone like Rogers, he's still on 8 yellow cards. I believe he will blank in game week 29. There's logical thing to move him out and to get some other players. But if you have other players from your bench who can come in, I think it's also fair. Uh, all right, let's go next game in. Wolves versus Fulham. Someone, a player from Wolves that people are really looking at against Fulham, who also lost 2-0 recently at home. So, particularly, what's the latest news for both teams?
So Agbadu in being injured was supposed to hurt Wolves, but because he was one of the January acquisitions, but luckily the Bournemouth sending off probably helped, and to be fair, even before the sending off, Wolves looked like the better team. So there's no changes in that sense from last weekend. So all the longer term absentees and the short term are all out. So it does mean the one thing is that during the weekend, Strand Larsen came on, was a sub. So he came on. So most likely you would see Strand Larsen start here, probably in place of Gomez or maybe Sarabia, although Gomez is more likely. So not Rodrigo Gomez, the other Gomez. There's a Joao Gomez.
João Gomez, yeah.
Yeah. So on the Fulham side, yeah, that's quite a problem. Tom Kenny, who in that midfield, ESR obviously as that creative option there, it's gonna hurt. And when you have Wilson and Nelson out as well, it does hurt. And Fulham have been so inconsistent lately, and with Wolves having the momentum, I think that this is still Wolves to win. And I would back Wolves for it. I sound a bit biased. I have a thing for Wolves at the moment, but yeah, I would still back Wolves for the win.
All right, good stuff. I think the form is with Wolves. We shall see because Mr. Cunha now has got back-to-back goals and be really a word for managers who already picked him early. And we shall see in terms of top transfer for this week. And I can mention about Cunha in definitely in that mix. So let's go to the next team news. Chelsea versus Southampton also have interest in terms of Southampton Chelsea player because they're playing back to back with promoted sides. Despite but there are some injury, especially for the Chelsea defense. What's what it is.
So Chalobah, as we know, he got substituted out, so he's going to be out. But Fofana, apparently he might be involved, but probably as a substitute, supposedly. So he's not going to be available. So there's been a lot of talk about the keeper situation, Jorgensen fumbling the Asensio goal, and he went through his legs or underneath. So sorry, Hafiz, I know you look like you're a bit pained to discuss this, but it's a challenge for Chelsea, but Maresca has come out and said right now Jorgensen will stay, so meaning that he's happy to give him a bit more leeway to prove himself. Yeah. So none of those are likely to be ready. And so we saw that Neto and Nkunku played together with Palmer. So it'll be interesting to see how they feel. One possibility is that Nkunku might not play, but Sancho might play instead. The thing with Chelsea is that we saw a different formation, a different setup. We saw Pedro Neto up top, Palmer on the right. In the middle was Enzo Fernandez, and Nkunku was on the left. So, it worked for Enzo, and, Pedro and Neto and Enzo combined for the first goal. Yeah, but Nkunku was still not there. He was a bit anonymous. Now, there was a mentioned interview to Maresca, and then he was saying that he wants to challenge Nkunku to come good like he did previously in the cup matches. So whether or not that implies he will start, I'm not confident. Because I'm considering him. I'm not denying it. Yeah, but
Yep.
I'm not confident. Yeah, but Chelsea did do well at first in that current setup, so I can see them continuing the same setup. Yeah, it's just them getting used to and also weathering the storm that they need to figure out. So coming back to the other thing is Southampton. Ugokuchu can't face his parent club, another of these Chelsea loanies, and then Bednarek is going to miss. So although Howard Bellis could be back, but it's not going to do much. With apparently the Southampton manager keeps changing or trying different to see which one will fit. Against Chelsea, if they does that, which I expect he will do it again to try to see what works. It's going to be a win for Chelsea, and so much so that that's why we got that captaincy debate with the Palmer might be a better option, even though Chelsea haven't been performing well. It's just that Southampton have been performing so bad. So that's the dilemma.
We shall see when we talk about captaincy later, whether Palmer could be one that can challenge Salah this week. But the form is not there. We discussed that in a bit. Next game, Brentford versus Everton. I think Everton has been really in right form until they blip against United last game week. Brentford pick up 4-0 win against Leicester, so they're high flying right now and they're playing at home. So what's later news for both teams?
It's just that Nogard who had a head thing, so he has to observe the concussion protocol, so he's not going to be able to play. It's an enforced thing. So other than that, everyone else should be the same. There's none of these long-term absentees are going to return. So Everton, so you got Nathan Patterson back, but then it's still too early. So I expect to have the same lineup for Everton. So Everton, if you remember, they started off well against Manchester United, only for Manchester United to fight back and ended up with a draw. Moyes will learn from this. So I think this Brentford versus Everton game will be lack of goals. I don't see a lot of goals here. It could be a really drawn out match and which could even end 0-0.
Okay, fair. I think if you're looking at lineup also, I'm not sure whether the quick turnaround maybe some changes in the lineup, but Everton should be playing. Beto is on form right now. He really scored again in Manchester United game, but they finally managed only drew against United. So maybe they want to bounce back against Brentford. But Brentford has been good at home especially, but recently their away form also picking up. So we shall see into Sunday. So the prediction looks like a close one. It could be a draw, 1-1. All right. Next game, we talked about United just now. They are going to play against Ipswich at home this week. And boy, both teams are really needed in terms of points. So what's the latest news for both teams?
So no changes for Manchester United. Ipswich, I'm not sure in terms of whether or not those scan results came back. I don't see any update yet. Yeah, so we might not only know after. One change for Ipswich though is that Tuanzebe comes back. He was previously suspended for one match, so he's back, and I think that will definitely help. So on the United side, that fight back that they had against Everton should help in terms of motivation and trying to push and do better. But I don't know. I wouldn't buy, even against Ipswich, I wouldn't buy Bruno Fernandes now. I'm not. It's just that team squad is all over the place, and I do think that
if let's say Ahmad fit and you have him, then you play him. But Ahmad is not an option.
If Ahmad's in, I play him in a heartbeat. And the other things, I do think the lad will probably score in this one. So I don't think either team is keeping a clean sheet.
Fair. I think that's the most important thing. If you have Bruno Fernandes, by all means, you play him because you're already in the set. But suggesting is another different because there's a lot of option in midfield especially. Next game, man, the big one. We have 3 big games back to back now. Forest versus Arsenal first. So looking at this, maybe they both lost last game week, so they want to bounce back quickly. So what's the latest news for both teams?
All right, so for us, it was a bit more obscure in terms of these players with knocks ahead. So I don't know if he's gotten a bit defensive after having been, whacked by Newcastle about having a fight match. I didn't want to reveal. It was a very high octane match, so I'm not surprised there are knocks and fatigue or injuries. Arsenal, so Nwaneri is available, so he's fine, but Lewis Kelly, the other youngster, is suspended. This could be one of those really dreary matches. Forest is going to try to attack, but Arsenal are good at control in that sense. So I'm not sure how to predict where this one will go. Arsenal will need the win, definitely. But at the same time, they're not going to go blazing away, so because they know Forest are good at letting you keep the ball and they just play in the counter. I think, I don't know. I'm trying to give a call as to which team will win. Arsenal, of course, need to win more. So I'm going to say a draw.
Yeah, Arsenal have been mentioning about toothless up front. They did not manage to get anything against West Ham, and maybe against Leicester they are lucky from that brace from Marino late in the game. But this is a Forest team who has been decent, but their recent form not great. But they have in the form of Chris Wood who can just pop up a goal out of nowhere. So we shall see. Because the interest in terms of Arsenal assets especially are waning, because Nunnery could be one option last week because he scored nine points or something against Leicester. But after that blank, I don't think people are moving into any Arsenal asset for now. All right. Next game, Spurs versus Man City. I think the concern is about Haaland missing last match, and he also did not play against Liverpool in a Champions League match. So, what's the latest news, Ben? Will he be available for this week?
Okay, so Spurs, no changes, so everyone should be back, and better news for long term after this week. Of course, there's a bit lengthy 1 week plus. VDV, Solanke, Romero, Richarlison, who are all arguably first teamers options, will be back by game week 28, which is great news, and it's nice to see all the injury coming back, and it has made a difference in terms of their play. So City, no, nothing clear. So the hope that he will be fit, so we don't know for sure. You would think that if he doesn't play in this game, then then after that it's a long time. But
They still involved in the FA Cup, right? So they will play Plymouth.
Yeah, so if he doesn't play then in the FA Cup, then Haaland should at least see some minutes, because they will want him to be ready when the Premier League swings around again if he doesn't play tonight.
If I may recall the reverse picture, Spurs did win against City at their fortress, right? Etihad. So they definitely want.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You see, Spurs have always been a bit of a boogie team for City. Somehow their managers always manage to figure out, even way back from the Pochettino era at Spurs, they've always managed to upset the apple cart with City. So I have Guardiola myself, but I don't see myself building him, because I do think Spurs will score, and more than one goal.
Spurs thumb Man City 4-0 somewhere last November, and the prediction this time Man City a narrow win 2-1, but we shall see. This interesting match. All right, next game is Liverpool versus Newcastle. Interesting, because we know what Liverpool are in the top form right now, but Newcastle, they also win close fight against Forest 4-3. So it is interesting match between both teams. What's the latest news mean from Arnie Slot and also Eddie Howe?
All right, so for Liverpool, Bradley is out, which means that he is likely to be continuing. Obviously, Liverpool are not in the FA Cup, so they don't have to worry about that. McAllister, who I found out this out later that he has a black eye. I can't, it's the time has been so short. I haven't checked as to why on earth does he have a black eye. Did someone, did Doku elbow him unnecessarily? I'm not sure, but that's the thing. But otherwise, to be fair, he wasn't questioned a lot about fatigue and any issues with the short turnaround time. There was a mention, if I could find it, but because the reason I'm concerned is because when you have players like Soboslai who really worked it off, he ran his face off trying to, to make sure that Liverpool secured the win, and they did. But at the end of the match, Soboslai was just down on the ground, so I don't know whether there'll be an issue of rotation, although to be fair, they don't have an FA Cup game. So Slot was asked about the short turnaround time and with the fatigue, but the answer, there was no specific players that he mentioned. But he did something along the lines of saying that, okay lah, we got knocked out of the FA Cup. I think it gives a chance for the players to rest.
Yeah.
They will rest this weekend, which means that if they can, they'll put up as strong a squad as possible for this match. So for the Newcastle side, Tonali looks like unscathed, but because he was a second half substitute. But will he start this week? Is he ready for a start? I'm not so sure, even though he came through unscathed, as it's mentioned here, because this is going to be a tough one. And the fact that Joe Linton is still out, that's going to hurt. So otherwise, you'd have that midfield of Tonali, Bruno Gomes, and Joe Linton working wonders. But with Joe Linton out and Tonali maybe not 100%, that's going to hurt a bit as well. Wilson is back, although he would usurp Isaac in the starting lineup so quickly. Isaac was substituted off as Newcastle tried to successfully preserve the lead. This is interesting match. I'm not sure that the problem is that Liverpool are, in theory, the more tired side, but we know that Salah is currently an alien in this world because he's doing so well.
I just want to ask about Gakpo situation. Just mentioned here, but Gakpo did get some minutes against City, right? So what do you think in terms of prospect Gakpo playing this game or starts?
I think Gakpo could have a start. If you look at the Liverpool formation, it was a bit slightly. It appeared to be a bit more defensive because he only played. You know how the Diaz, Gakpo, Jota, and Salah, right? So it was only Diaz and Salah. Yeah. So in the middle he played Jones and Zoboslai, Gravenberch, and McAllister. So we had 4 of those players. Yeah. So with only Diaz and Salah up front. So and it worked out well. Yeah. So for this match, I think Liverpool will revert back to its normal style. So it will be Gakpo on the left. So the question is, who's going to play up front? Is it Jota or Diaz? I wouldn't be surprised if it's Jota for this one. Yeah. But I do think Gakpo will start.
Right. If someone has still hold Gakpo in his team, maybe you play him this game. But if you're not comfortable, you can replace with some other striker. But this is an opportunity because Liverpool and Newcastle and Azmin, they mentioned about some key injury. With Jolinton out, Tonali might not be fit. This could be another high-scoring game for Liverpool, especially. All right. Last but not least, the West Ham versus Leicester. we did mention West Ham after that 1-0 win against Arsenal, they're definitely on buoyant mood right now, and Leicester camp are not feeling the same way. So what's the latest news for both teams?
Okay, so Paquetá missed the game, and we were thought that we will be missed against Arsenal. For those of us who went for the Arteta manager, but no, they didn't miss him at all. Kudus was spectacular, by the way. Yeah, so Kufal's not going to be ready either. On the Leicester side, no changes. So James Justin could return in time, sure. I don't know. I think Root is over his head in this one. He should not have taken this appointment because the role here is to survive. And this guy he hasn't had any real experiences of surviving. Surviving requires a totally different skill set and mindset, which I don't know. So I'm just gonna say goodbye.
Someone like Sam Allardyce, you want to mention, right?
Well, even Sean Dyche, but then was so it's too bad for Leicester. West Ham will win this at a canter, and I think it's so strong that people are looking at Bowen and maybe Kudus to a lesser extent to capitalize on any possible upside.
Yeah. But I think macam we already know. You just target the Leicester, the team that play Leicester, Southampton, and Ipswich. For this last 12 game week of the season, right? We only left with 12. So if you think, which player target? Again, like this, Bowen, then next week Chelsea, then see whoever play this Leicester, Ipswich, and Southampton. I don't know. That can be a strategy.
I think it'll be the same out of the three. Ipswich will be the one who will put up a bit more fight, because they have some skills there.
I think so. But they are like after Wolves winning recently game, I think they're already gap between the bottom three, and Wolves at 22 points now. Ipswich and Ipswich and Leicester tied at 17 points. So there already some gap there. If they are not chasing any points, getting any points, I think more or less the three promoted side will doom back into the championship. All right, let's go to transfer traffic, mate, for Gameweek 27. As of now, we can see there, no surprise, right? The Wolves attacker, Mr. Cunha, is the top transfer for this week with almost 500,000 plus. Manager has get him into the team. And then after that, Mr. Bowen, we mentioned about opportunity now to get those West Ham player against Leicester. Who knows, a big win, 3-0, 4-0, and Bowen definitely in the mix. And I believe with Paquetá out, Bowen will be on a penalty kick, and he will play up front. So definitely a good time to get Bowen. Then third place, Mbeumo, after that, 14 points. There's some decent fixture, okay, and they do play in game week 29, so maybe that is still an opportunity, but his price at 7.98 million right now. Munoz, the Niger, despite blanking in 29, Munoz is the most transfer in for a defender. After that, 13 points, and they play back-to-back home game. So maybe there's opportunity, but then you have to tackle 29, which is like 2 games after this. And then Mitoma, I forgot, Brighton win 4-0, right? But
yes,
I haven't seen Mitoma in the mix, right? I suppose that's why the traffic is there. Okay, so that is the top transfer in for game week 27. In terms of out, top transfer, Rogers, no surprise, potentially, and he also blank in game week 29. I might continue to pick up more managers getting him out. Gakpo, you have Gordon there. Newcastle also will blank in 29. But interestingly, Palmer in the top 5 despite playing at home and back-to-back against promoted side. He's pick up more managers who says it's time up for Mr. Palmer. So what do you think, mate, in terms of in and out from 27?
Okay, Mitoma, I feel that based on the highlights I saw, I do feel that Minte might be the better option. He's more direct and he's less in terms of creative. So Munoz being brought in, I guess the most of those teams are probably looking at free hitting in game week 29, so it's not an issue. And of course, you want to still capitalize on Crystal Palace's good form at the moment. Mbeumo, of course, is after him scoring a really good FPL score. Then Cunha has been talked a lot, and to be fair, a lot of people wanted to was supposed to bring him in last week after the Liverpool match, but if you remember, even the Liverpool match he scored. Then we think that because they're going to play against Bournemouth have been recently good and they are currently number 6. So we'll wait another week only for Cunha again to score. So now it looks like people are, it's time. Let's bring him in against Fulham, even though Fulham is a stronger team. But now they can start bringing him in. On the transfers outside, Ahmad, of course, Rodgers, a lot of doubt and involvement in Champions League, and maybe the issue of Rashford and Asensio there, giving him less responsibility in terms of goal scoring. Gakpo suddenly out, obviously he was benched and then came in, and he was totally didn't play. Then against in the double game week, he was non-entity. Gordon is interesting because it's frustrating. You've seen all the Newcastle doing well, but Gordon was not involved in the actual goals. Jacob Murphy was more involved than Gordon in the past 5 weeks. I think Gordon only got 1 assist in the past 5 weeks, and Jacob Murphy had goals and assists as well. So it's frustrating for Gordon owners, considering Jacob Murphy is also available but at a much cheaper price. Palmer is a big surprise. And I don't know if these guys are just looking at based on results and not realizing the fixtures, because I just feel that against Southampton is an opportunity for Palmer to get back into his confidence and score. So I really can't accept selling Palmer at this stage. You don't want to captain him, sure, but selling him, that's a bit much.
Right, those are the top transfer, Azmin. Let's take a look into projected goals and keeping clean sheet for this week. This one from Rob FT FPL and data from SpreadX. As you can see, Chelsea is the highest in terms of odds in terms of goals scored this week with 3 goals, the highest, and also for clean sheet, 40%, also the highest for Chelsea. In terms of goals scored, Liverpool second. You can see there against Newcastle 2.40, and then Man City, despite away to Spurs, they expect to score 2.20. Then after that, slightly to Manchester United against Ipswich 2.1. I think that may be quite on the high side, but it's again Ipswich at home. Then after that, maybe West Ham against Leicester 1.95, Brighton 1.8 against Bournemouth. In terms of clean sheet, we already mentioned Chelsea there. Then next, United at 38%. Same goes to Arsenal, 36% away to Forest. I'm not too sure whether that will be, but West Ham has an opportunity to keep a clean sheet against Leicester also at 36%. And people looking at like Wan-Bissaka, who also bombarded and had the opportunity to give an assist to the attackers. So in terms of goals, odd, and clean sheet, what do you think?
Well, firstly, Chelsea 3.0 and 40%. That's overwhelming odds against Southampton, poor Southampton. But at the same time, if you remember the quick turnaround, so these quick turnarounds are, we know that Chalobah's out. And Reece James, I don't think he can handle the quick turnaround just yet. He's still so there might be a shake up in that, and it concerns me that I think that Southampton will still score at least one goal, but Chelsea will still score multiple goals. Liverpool is a surprisingly 2.40, 31%. I think it should be lower. I think Newcastle will put up a good fight. Although, I still expect Salah to do what he does best. Wolves versus Fulham, so close. I don't like that. Considering I'm now doubled up now that Pereira's left the squad. So, and of course, the other neutral one is Crystal Palace and Aston Villa. So we know Crystal Palace won, and so did Villa. So this looks like a very evenly spaced match there. Both teams don't play in Gameweek 29, both Crystal Palace and Villa.
Yeah.
So you have to bear that in mind unless you're free hitting, in which case you don't care. But if you aren't, then it does make sense considering the odds for you to not pick up a Crystal Palace or Aston Villa player at this juncture.
Let's take a look in top rated goal scorer for 27, because that is the conversation that people are asking in terms of captaincy. On top right now is Palmer, predicted to score 0.95, and aligned with whatever prediction just now, Chelsea to score 3 goals, and Palmer should be in the mix. Second is Haaland away to Spurs, maybe because of the matchup, and Salah at third at home against Newcastle, slightly below from Haaland, 0.75, 0.71. Other than that, I'm not sure what Nkuku, 0.67, Mamouche, then Jota, João Pedro there, Bruno is there against Ipswich, Mateta, Bomo. But I think we talk about the top three, Palmer, Haaland, and Salah. Clearly, the odds says if you want to captain, maybe you should captain Palmer over the Haaland and the Salah. What do you think, man?
What was the last sentence?
In terms of Palmer over Haaland over Salah?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm surprised Haaland is that high. Spurs, they got more of the squad back, and and they're playing at Spurs, and Spurs are the boogie team for City. So I don't agree with that. But whether Palmer should be above, I disagree. I think that even though Southampton are so bad, but I think that Liverpool's drive right now is there, and I think Salah will still do better despite having more tougher opposition.
Yeah, agree. Also Chelsea, but I still remember coming back to the pick Mboma I did last week. Also not in the right form at the juncture, and then they play Leicester. Maybe Leicester, but Southampton also maybe not that far in terms of how they perform. So they're playing at home. Maybe there is just satisfaction, but it is a risk. And we know Salah is on top form right now. I think if you're chasing rank like me, maybe Palmer could be a condition. But if you want, because you're in a safe place or you're already up there, then maybe Salah is the right choice to do. I think is depending on where you are right now if you want to chase rank. So as they mentioned, captain Gameweek for 27. So I think if you want chase rank, Palmer, but Salah definitely the best pick. I don't think people will argue in terms of his perform out of nowhere. I think one return is definite again Newcastle, right, mate? So it just matter, is it more than one return for Liverpool against Newcastle?
Then both Salah and Palmer are playing at home, which makes it even more interesting. So yeah.
All right. I think just quick one also, because people maybe activating AM chip in game week 25. So they have 26 and this week 27. So AM chip into potential AM point, the table bonus, we can see there Glasner coming back because Palace versus Villa. So there's 5 places gap. And Victor Pereira against Fulham, and neither both playing at home. I think this one definitely a better, comfortable if you're bidding for Glasner and Pereira this week. Glasner on top against Villa. I think Villa is a much stronger side. I'll go for Pereira this week. What do you think, man? You pick Pereira last week. Definitely, you're gonna suggest him, right?
Uh, yes. Because I just feel that Villa are a better side and will give Crystal Palace a better fight. So I wouldn't be going for Glasner for that one. I would be going for Pereira. Yes, you are right. I think Fulham are a bit all over the place at the moment, and I see, yeah, I can see it happen. I can see another upset win for Wolves as they continue to gain confidence and come up. Let's not forget that Fulham are also missing Tom Kenny, who I think is quite important, and ESR is not around, will also damage their goal scoring prospects. So the other options,
Other
Spurs
option
versus,
like Postecoglou against City.
yeah, Spurs versus City. That's a very cheeky one, but you really have to have conviction. But we know historically Spurs have been Man City's boogie team, so it's definitely possible. I wouldn't go for slot at this point. I think right now everyone's looking at what other table bonuses. After what happened last week. And we've seen the increase in rank.
Maybe you should share more in terms of how's the feeling you get 19 points from Pereira. It's definitely wonderful feeling, right?
It's definitely euphoric. Although I can't deny maybe the red card did help. I'm not gonna deny it. Even though before that during the match it was quite a good match. A lot of back and forth. Um, I'm just happy that I found the confidence to do that transfer. I was laughing about it. Remember when we were talking about it? Oh, maybe I'll just take a hit and not very. What was really like a big risk, but I'm glad it paid off.
I
Other
think
than that,
I think for this game week, there's no wrong you going Glasner and Pereira because they already showed they can do it last week. So
yes,
you should be more comfortable.
and Ivan Juric, that last option. Come on, no way. The only other table bonus option. No,
But
no.
but last week Porter at the bottom and we are laughing that. So and then
Who?
Porter laughed at us back
Potter.
and he got that one against us.
Also so much as love, but yeah, I never did consider him for a pick. I didn't think Arsenal would be that bad. So yeah,
All right.
credit to Graham Potter.
Yep. I
But
think let's go to our team.
Zurich is not Potter because Graham Potter has Premier League pedigree experience doing well
Okay.
with Brighton. So anyway, okay, go ahead.
Right. And some experience with Chelsea, yeah. Right. Okay. Chaos
Yeah, not
Chelsea.
so good.
All right. Let's go to our teammate. We already reached our 1 hour mark.
Yes,
And
yes.
we
Let's
do
finish.
remind everyone the deadline will be at 2 a.m. It's like 1.5 away from our time. My team, man, I have 2 free transfer, 2.6 million in the bank. And for now, my captain armband with Salah, but we shall discuss later in terms of that. In goals, I'll play sales because I don't have opportunity to play Fabianski. I don't think he will play, right? There's some talk about potentially Fabianski play this game against Leicester. I don't think so. I think Potter will play. Rela continue after that win against Arsenal. And I in defense, Kirkers, Gabriel, and Robinson. And on my bench, Mykolenko and Greaves, I don't think I'll play Mykolenko over those players. Okay. Thinking about fixture because I have Brentford player in the form of Bomo, Salah, Palmer, and Clivert. I said Wood, and I already used my free transfer man to bring in the most transfer so far this week, which is Mr. Cunha for Ndiaye, who injured, and we are not sure when he's going to return. Rogers will be on my bench this week. After I played him throughout the weeks, double game week and so on, no return, only 2 points blank and yellow cards. So he will sit on my bench. There is opportunity to bring in other players like Chelsea midfielder if I want to punt. But if I do that, I will have benching dilemma, which I don't want. Because I think I will play Isaac despite Liverpool away and Wood at home against Arsenal. You just never know. Forest keep a clean sheet, scored 1 goal, and it will be Chris Wood. That's all I can say. So what do you think, mate, in terms of my team.
Hey, did you get Cunha before his price went up 2 days ago?
I think so. 6.9. Is already rise to 7 ke? I don't think so, right?
6.9. That means it was at 6.8 during the weekend.
Okay. So I
So
missed
it's
that
like-
lah. I didn't get him at 6.8. At 6.8.
Just for the record, it's going to go up again by tomorrow morning. So,
Yup.
so
Yup.
which reflects on the number of transfers that have been coming in.
But he's still right now at 16%.
Yeah. So let's see what the finals tally is. The cells keeper thing, that's a interesting one. But of course, because you
have no option.
you don't have a choice there. But I'm worried about Bournemouth really in terms of conceding goals. So I don't know what you can do lah. Yeah, because Michaelenko is a possible option, but you have Mbeumo, so it's kind of like counterproductive as well.
Betul.
But you want to save your transfers?
So basically, the one transfer I will roll to next week. And
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to share you, Min. I'm contemplating to Captain Palmer, as we mentioned. My rank is 1.9 million, and maybe there's opportunity for me to go against Salah. Even though Salah could score big this week, but I might do that.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
All right, let's go to your team, which is more interesting. Your 1.5 million in the bank, one free transfer, right, Min? So, talk to you about your team, Min.
So firstly, Flecken versus Cells, I haven't really decided, and I might follow you off and go for Cells instead. I'm just not. I really haven't figured this out. Everton are free scoring at the moment. Arsenal are not. Yeah. Then Gabriel, Alexander Arnold, Aït-Nouri, no dilemmas there. Although I do expect Wolves to score, but then Robinson can always get an assist somewhere. So it's just one of those weeks where I have to guess on the Robinson thing. Soboslai worries me, but based on the press conference, maybe not so. Should be okay. He does have an extra day to recover, so hopefully that will do the trick. When I say extra day, just because they play later, but then so because in terms of the amount of time with Newcastle last night played on Sunday as well, same as Liverpool. Then Kluivert. So Kluivert is my thing right now. So I'm not sure, especially with Pedro doing well. I have now put Pedro into the starting lineup.
Okay.
And I'm to sell Rodgers for either Enzo or Neto. I have not confirmed this yet. I will captain Salah and play Palmer, of course. Then Cunha, Pedro, and Isaac, which means I'm benching Kluivert, which is surprising but not totally unexpected. So,
have you made your transfer, Min?
Not yet. I haven't made it yet.
So maybe I don't know. You play Pedro and just bench Rodgers, and you can roll the transfer and play Kluivert. But
no, because I want that Chelsea Southampton matchup. If I'm not gonna captain Palmer, I want an extra Chelsea asset. So that's the problem.
Okay, fair. I like that.
Yeah. So, but it means I'm sacrificing Kluivert, even though he was substituted early last week or last weekend. Yeah, but that's a risk I'm gonna have to take. Yeah, so that's it. And my bench will be Robinson, Kluivert, and Guardiola. Or maybe Kluivert will stay as my first bench. And
can you imagine? You have really nice bench. Kalau you beli BB, you can do it because really nice bench, right? That's all.
No confidence. No, because it's not because Robinson you're playing against Wolves, and I've got two Wolves attack.
Okay.
Pretty much attacker as well. And Pedro I've got who are facing Kluivert. Then you have Guardiola who's facing City's boogie team. So maybe not. It looked great at first, and then looking at that, so I just need to decide Sells versus Flecken really, and I'm torn. I might do you roll a dice for this one.
Yep, I think so. You won't go wrong. And you just Flecken on form right now. That's all I can say. So maybe because I think Flecken kept back-to-back clean sheet, if I'm right. So maybe
Really?
you can.
This is my first time owning Flecken, so I'm like, oh yes,
For myself, Flecken, I have already feel the frustration because Brentford who can keep so much clean sheet now. Before, but now there's a case. So
Pana Flecken immediately gets you a clean sheet. Woo!
best. All right.
Thanks for that. I might keep Flecken now. I might just steal Flecken.
All right. Let's take some question before we wrap up. Before that, just a quick one in terms of FPL Jedi League. If you guys interested to join our community, you can just key in the PHMKJ3, our league code. Number one still Sukahati made, but he only scored 78 points, and he made one transfer. And you know what? He bring in Mbomo for Ahmad, and he got that 40 points. And he did bench Luis Diaz for that game, mate. So maybe pretty much a great choice he made by bringing Momo and bench Diaz, man. What do you think?
Yeah. I haven't moved, have I? Despite doing well, but I'm still there. So okay lah.
Closing gap. That's more important.
Closing gap, yeah. Because I'm looking at Aeropos. Come on, Aeropos, but it's okay. It's fine.
But would you be surprised that he actually tried to captain Clivert? Difference.
He captain Clivert?
Yeah. You can see that. No Salah captain. He captain Clivert.
Okay, so if he hadn't, then his score would have been 100 plus as well. Wow.
Yep.
Gosh.
Yep. Interesting.
I want to know whether he's benching Clivert this week.
And he still have Emery, and he got that 8 points. So pretty much he's there, but closing gap. Still a big gap, 40 plus point from second place for our friend Hafiz. Third place Afiq, Frantic at fourth, yourself at fifth, but already closing gap like 10 points for fourth and maybe 20 points for third. So it's a close one. Okay. Labu FC at sixth place, going up. Brandon Pepole, Ahmad Rafi at 7, then Meldan Kin 8th place, Zach at 9, and AR FC down to 10th place. So pretty much a tight battle in our league. We take some question, mate, before we wrap up. Azli, I suppose he's definitely Manchester United player, fan. Recommend to buy Gameweek.
I'm sorry. It's just, maybe you get something this week, but then it's because you play Arsenal next week in Gameweek 28. I just don't see, if you unless you have a lot of transfers and do a 1 week punt and then sell it back, but otherwise no.
But if I want to recommend, I think Bruno Fernandes. You go for Bruno Fernandes, get that 10 points. Who knows, Lama is fish. If you're keen on Manchester United, Bruno could be the one you should get. All right. Next question from Orange Apple. Best Chalobah replacement at 5.9 million or below? First in my mind is Monos, but he's blank in Gameweek 29. So what do you think, man?
I don't know how much if you plan to save, but I would strongly suggest Ait Nouri for 4.7. Plays Gameweek 29 against Southampton. The next two matches against Fulham and Everton at home. West Ham at home in Gameweek 30, then plays Ipswich away. So I think it's really nice fixtures there for Wolves, and the chance for him to get some attacking returns as well. So yeah, it'll be Ait Nouri for me if you don't have him already.
Yeah. I concur. I like that. Your option. All right.
How much is
Angkat
Chalupa?
FPL. Chalupa Zip 5. I don't think it's that.
4.4, yeah, so about 0.3 more. So you still have a lot of money to spend elsewhere.
Rakyat FPL, thank you for your question. Dango to Pedro Neto. What do you think, man?
Yes, go for it. It's just that Chelsea played two good matches, and Dango at least has a bit more return compared to Clivert and Semenyo. So I think it's not a bad time to pass. Let him go now.
All right. Yeah. Fair. How about Dorgu? I think this is a cheap defense from Man United team at 4.5 million playing Ipswich this game. What do you think, man?
You have to hope for an attacking return because Ipswich will score. Ipswich have Davis and Delap, who Delap he got close a few times against Spurs despite Ipswich losing. And Delap looks dangerous as always, so I wouldn't. If you go for Dogu, you have to hope he has got attacking returns because they are keeping no clean sheet.
Right, fair. Next question, Gabriel or Castagna? Which one you play? My first thought, I think Gabriel has more threat, but they are facing Forest. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I still pick Gabriel for both the defensive solidity and the attacking threat.
Hello, hi Nikita Vicious. How are you? Start Trossard or Clivert? We did mention about Trossard, but it's about FPL front getting him into the team. But what do you think, man? Trossard or Clivert?
Even though I myself am benching Clivert, but if we given between these two options, I would still pick Clivert because of the penalty possibilities, and because Arsenal's not that great at the moment.
Yeah,
so
useless right now. Yep. Mr. Shoki, Isaac or Clivert in first 11? Yeah. I said right.
okay, so this is the exact dilemma that I have, because if I were to sell Rodgers to Neto, which I just did while we were talking, so then the question is who to bench. So was it Clivert and Isaac? And I really seriously considered benching Isaac because again against Liverpool, but taking into account the whole success and how Isaac can score against any good teams regardless. Yeah, so I would still put Isaac as first 11. So I do have Isaac. I want to bench him so bad against Liverpool, but I have to be realistic and think that he can score against Liverpool.
Fair. And last but not least, from Mr. Shoki, combo Palmer and Neto or Palmer and Enzo. This is what you're thinking, right?
Yeah, so again, because when I was selling Rodgers, it was between Neto and Enzo and Nkunku. I quickly ruled Nkunku out because there's a possibility he might be benched for Sancho, given that he still was poor and maybe come in as a super sub. So Neto and Enzo both were involved in the goal, so they should start. Enzo gets into great attacking positions, and now if he's playing behind the striker, it looks like he's getting into positions and he's not too defensive anymore. The thing is that striker now looks like it's Neto, because it's not Nkunku. I think they've stopped that experiment of having Nkunku up front because he's just not effective. So at the moment, I've gone for Neto. So Palmer plus Neto combo. Neto, I checked out some Chelsea player ratings from we ain't got no history, SB Nation, and they all had glowing remarks for Neto. So I will now go for Neto for the first time this season, even though I've always scanned him because I feel that early on I did wonder, is it possible to bring in Neto, but I never did. So
this
now,
could be the opportunity.
Now here we go. So yes, Neto has come into my team already. I'm just worried I'll fall asleep later the longer I talk.
Right. Remember, guys, the deadline will be at 2 a.m. Malaysian time, so it's not that far away. So your last word, man.
So it's game week 27 already, you know. So I think if your rank is a bit further than you would like, you know, I think it's time to start really taking those risks. Not just risk for the sake of risk, calculated risks. If there's if a question is 50-50, but one side of the 50 could really help boost the rank, then go for that. Go for that one. Yeah, rather than the more template pick. Yeah. So I think it's really climbing up the ranks and but at the same time, always bear in mind or have a rough idea of where you plan to use your remaining chips as well. So yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you guys for joining the stream. Do hit the like button and subscribe to our FPL Jedi YouTube channel and do support us. And as Azmin mentioned, I already changed my captain. You can see my rank here. I'm captaining Palmer this week. Hopefully it paid off. Last week I brave enough to captain Bomo. This week Palmer. Hopefully it paid off. So thank you guys for joining. In whatever decision you make, trust your guts and hope for the best. Thank you and see you soon. Bye-bye.